Chapter 96, Do You Want to Kill Them All? After some thought, Zhang Yi came up with a satisfactory answer. That is, as long as he stays in Building 25 and doesn't go out, and makes use of the firepower in his hands and the strength of the safe house, even if the people in the other 29 buildings join forces, they won't be able to do anything to him. To put it bluntly, in today's situation where food is extremely scarce and the temperature extremely cold, it is a huge ordeal for a person to go out into the cold wind and take a few steps. 20 people cannot do the manual labor that one person used to do. My personal safety is not a problem. At the very least, I can ride my snowmobile out of the neighborhood and use the weapons I have to fight guerrilla warfare with them, which will slowly wear them down. But this is really troublesome. How long do I have to keep killing people from the other 29 buildings? But if I don't kill them, they will definitely come and try to kill me, Zhang Yi thought to himself. In the end, it was a matter of whether he should spend some time and effort to eliminate everyone in the community who posed a threat to him, or whether he should think of another way. In the short term, Zhang Yi did not make up his mind. He glanced at his phone and decided to have a chat with Li Jian. He had to see if all the building owners thought the same way. Zhang Yi opened the chat window with Li Jian. He did not respond to Li Jian, but Li Jian was very proactive and introduced their situation to Zhang Yi. Mr. Zhang, I come in good faith this time, hoping to cooperate with you to build a harmonious community, a utopia in the end times. So far, only 5 elderly people have died in our building number 18 due to complications caused by extremely low temperatures. Everyone gets along harmoniously through reasonable planning and distribution of supplies. I feel that this is the best way to survive in the end times, preserving the spark of human civilization. It is also beneficial to the reconstruction work after the snowstorm. Right now, we lack an effective source of food. Since we hope to cooperate with you, as a price, we can provide manpower and materials to meet your needs as much as possible. And we can coordinate your relationship with other apartment buildings to avoid conflicts. Zhang Yi felt much better after reading Li Jian's introduction. He is worthy of being the chief financial officer of a large group, and his emotional intelligence is much higher than that of Chen Lingyu, who does social media marketing. He was clear and logical, his statement of interests concise and to the point, and his tone of voice neither condescending nor arrogant. But what Zhang Yi cared about most was what he said about a harmonious utopia. It had been more than 20 days since the end of the world, and yet not a single person from their building had died as a result of conflict. Zhang Yi looked at Zhou Keir, who had been trying hard to help him, and asked, "Keir, do you know anything about the situation in Building 18? Zhou Keir thought for a moment and said, "I've heard of them. It is said that the head of their building is a very charismatic person. After the end of the world, he united all the residents and adopted a uniform distribution of supplies, allowing the vast majority of people to survive until now." Zhang Yi exclaimed, "No wonder he is the CFO. Management accounting not only requires an understanding of how to manage, but also how to maximize profits." In fact, Li Jian's approach was the most reasonable. Other buildings, such as number 25 where Zhang Yi is located, have suffered from conflict and internal struggles, resulting in a large amount of wasted resources. In theory, if a person does not exercise, including mental exercises, the amount of energy they consume in a day is minimal, and just one meal would be sufficient. Li Jian is a talented person, Zhang Yi sighed, but then added, "But if you want to survive the end of the world, it is still impossible." Li Jian's ability lies in establishing order. Through his influence in Building 18, he was able to unite everyone early on. But what if they face an attack from the outside world? The group of people who are used to living comfortably will probably only be slaughtered if they encounter villains like Tiana Gang or Chen Zhenghao. This is the same reason why the ancient Central Plains civilization repeatedly lost to the nomadic civilization. Without the protection of military force, all stability and harmony is false. Zhang Yi asked, "What would you do if I say no?" Li Jian pondered for a long time before sending a reply to Zhang Yi. "We extend an invitation to cooperate in the spirit of friendly cooperation. I would deeply regret it if you refuse. But that doesn't mean your mind won't change in the future. I still look forward to the opportunity to cooperate again." Zhang Yi smiled. This official reply seemed very comforting. Why? Don't you want to attack us in Building 25? Or don't you want to join in when the other apartment buildings attack? Li Jian's reply was also very honest. Our force is only used for self-defense, and we will not take the initiative to attack others. It's not that we don't have the strength, but useless internal fighting will only end in mutual destruction. Zhang Yi wanted to give him a round of applause. Look at this guy, he's obviously being a pushover, but he's saying it with such righteousness. Then again, the harmonious home in building number 18 has spent the last half-month living in peace during the end times, and indeed lacks the courage to fight with others. Li Jian is a sensible person. He also knows that if Zhang Yi really fought with someone else, they wouldn't be able to get much benefit even if they went over there. It's better to just sit back and watch the fight. If Zhang Yi loses and the snowmobile falls into the hands of someone else, he can still find someone else to cooperate with. Wait for my reply. After sending this message, Zhang Yi went to the list of people who had requested to be his friend to find the others. Since there were so many people who wanted to add him as a friend and ask for supplies, he had simply ignored all the friend requests. But now it seemed that everyone in the entire neighborhood, in every building, wanted to talk to him and ask him to help collect supplies. Sure enough, Zhang Yi later added the heads of several other buildings. The messages they sent were almost identical to those of Chen Lingyu and Li Jian. They all hoped to cooperate with Zhang Yi and asked him to help them gather supplies so that they could survive. However, the conditions they could offer were extremely limited. They could only offer labor, women, and a promise not to take advantage of them in times of conflict. The difference was only in the attitude, that was all. Zhang Yi lay on the sofa, tilted his head back and looked at the ceiling, muttering, "Right now there are only two options, fight or make peace. To fight, I'd have to kill everyone who threatens me. This is not impossible, but it would take a lot of time and ammunition. Killing all the residents of the 30 buildings in the neighborhood would use up all the ammunition I have in storage. I didn't get a lot of ammunition from the police station in the first place, just over 1,000 bullets. This is still an ideal situation. I can kill them all if they come and attack me, but if they hide inside the buildings and don't come out, I won't risk going in. What's more, although I have no psychological hang-ups about killing people, I'm not some kind of psychopathic butcher. Most of the people in the community don't have any major grudges against me, and I would feel guilty if I killed them all. Gosh, I might even end up having mental problems myself." Zhang Yi rubbed his temples, feeling that killing the entire community was not a good option. That would be too much trouble. Chapter 97, The Attitude of the Various Buildings in the Neighborhood. As she listened to Zhang Yi's mumbling, Zhou Qi felt her heart jump. At this moment, no one in the entire neighborhood realized that they were all at the edge of the entrance to hell, frantically jumping left and right. Life or death was in Zhang Yi's hands. Luckily, I chose to follow him in the very beginning. Zhou Qi felt incredibly grateful. Suddenly, Zhang Yi looked at Zhou Qi, who was kneeling in front of him, and patted his thigh. "Come here." Zhou Qi walked over and sat on his lap. The temperature in the room was high, so when they were at home, the two of them usually wore pajamas, and sometimes just underwear. Zhou Qi didn't bring any clothes with her, and Zhang Yi just picked them out for her. So her style was naturally whatever Zhang Yi liked. For example, the black lace pajamas she is wearing now are a sexy kind of lingerie. The thin fabric reveals her white belly and large, delicate, snow-white buttocks. The fabric covering her lower body barely conceals anything, and is even considered revealing. She sat on Zhang Yi's lap, and the touch of her well-trained, perky buttocks delighted him. Zhang Yi wrapped his arms around her slender waist and bit her ear, which immediately made Zhou Qi's face turn red and her breathing became rapid. "Qi, tell me, from your perspective, should I fight with them or against them?" Zhou Qi had thought that Zhang Yi wanted to get down to some business. Unexpectedly, he was actually asking for her opinion. Of course, this was also considered another kind of business. She felt a little disappointed, but was also happy that Zhang Yi had asked for her opinion. Zhou Qi rolled her eyes and said to Zhang Yi, "If we go to war, can you withstand the attacks of the residents of the other 29 buildings at the same time? Well, that shouldn't be a problem, Zhang Yi said with confidence. In fact, he was a little unsure in his heart, because he was only 99.99% sure, but there was still a 0.01% chance that he couldn't be sure. After all, he couldn't guarantee that there wasn't someone in any of the other 29 buildings who had hidden explosives in their home that could bring down an entire building. But the probability of that was about the same as the probability of an atomic bomb falling from the sky and hitting his house. There was nothing you could do if you encountered it. Zhang Yi didn't even give it a second thought. Shou Qir's eyes were filled with surprise. She had expected Zhang Yi to say that he might not succeed, but she had never expected him to give such a firm answer. After all, Zhang Yi had never told her how many weapons and supplies he had on hand. But then Shou Qir thought to herself, Zhang Yi is a person with supernatural powers, so anything is possible for him. She took a deep breath and continued, if there are peace talks, does that mean that you will have to provide for the livelihood of everyone in the entire neighborhood afterwards? Zhang Yi laughed out loud. According to what they want, that is indeed the case. Shou Qir immediately said, of course that's not possible. Even if we calculate the number of people who survived in each building in the entire community at an average of 50 people, there are still 1,500 people. If you have to take care of everyone's food and drinks, I can't imagine how many supplies would be needed. To put all that on your shoulders is simply asking too much. Zhang Yi waved his hand. That's not how the math works. They'll naturally set the price high when they make their demands, and then wait for me to bargain. And don't think that these people are all good people. Anyone who can control a building will definitely have their own little group. Once they have the supplies, they will prioritize supplying their own people. A deep light flashed in Zhang Yi's eyes. As for the others, they are just reserves. Do they need to waste food on the food reserves? Shou Qir found what Zhang Yi said very reasonable and nodded. Even so, it would still be a huge hassle for you to provide the supplies for 30 buildings alone. Zhang Yi nodded with a smile. Well, that's exactly the point. That's why I have to get rid of this hassle. Either I kill them, which is a long and troublesome process that might even be slightly dangerous. After all, I'll have to leave the building and go out and fight them. He rubbed his head. Tell me, is there any way for me to get out of this mess without having to go through the trouble of killing them all? Shou Qir thought hard. Zhang Yi massaged her rich, fatty layer to help her think. After a long while, Shou Qir said helplessly, there is no solution to this problem. You are their only hope. If you don't help them, they will definitely come and kill you. There is another theoretical explanation, but it's not realistic. Zhang Yi's eyebrows twitched slightly. Oh? What is it? Shou Qir laughed, it's shameful to run away, but it's effective. If you leave this neighborhood and go live somewhere else, you'll get away from them, won't you? Zhang Yi stared at Shou Qir with wide eyes. At first, he thought Shou Qir's suggestion was very funny, even ridiculous. He had worked so hard to create a safe house, and now, he was supposed to just leave the neighborhood? But suddenly, another idea came to mind. Could he incorporate his safe house into his own space and take it with him? Zhang Yi had tried to collect large items before, but there was one condition, the item must exist independently. His safe house was integrated into the framework of the building. To take it with him, he would have to demolish the building. But how? With what? If it could have been demolished, I believe his bastard neighbors would have done it a long time ago. Although this idea is bold and extremely difficult to implement, it gives Zhang Yi a refreshing feeling. Perhaps in the future, when the conditions are right, he can give it a try. But for now, it was clearly not a practical option. Shou Qir looked at Zhang Yi's expression as he thought hard, and couldn't help but laugh. I was just talking nonsense, you're not serious, are you? Zhang Yi looked at her and smiled, squeezing her perky breasts. So, what do you think we should do? Shou Qir pouted, I don't know. Zhang Yi's gaze was deep, then don't worry about it for now, let's wait and see. Time is on our side, and we have the advantage. The only thing that could cause Zhang some trouble was the fact that the other 29 buildings might join forces. But nowadays, in the end times, people are always scheming against each other. Within a single neighborhood, the 30 buildings have each given birth to various types of civilized groups. Zhang Yi and the Tiana Gang and Wild Wolf Gang belong to the type that forcibly obtains dominance through the use of force and killing. Chen Lingyu controls the people of her building through brainwashing and manipulation. Li Jian, on the other hand, has created a harmonious home without conflict through rational management. There are so many organizations, and their ideologies are completely different. What's more, they have to watch out for each other, and they could turn into enemies at any time. It's not that easy for them to unite. Zhang Yi plans to continue to observe and see how they move before deciding what to do. He has the upper hand anyway. On the armed front, he has a whole arsenal of firearms and the added benefit of being able to fire with great precision shot. He is not afraid of group battles. Chapter 98, Establishing Authority. Zhang Yi made up his mind and decided to wait and see what would happen first. But he also knew that some of those people would definitely lose their patience and try to take action against him. So in recent times, he had been paying special attention to safety issues. He had a riot helmet on his head and body armor to protect him. Zhang Yi looked at his legs and couldn't help but frown. He had body armor, but not bulletproof pants. After some thought, Zhang Yi had an idea. He took out a bulletproof vest from dimensional space and handed it to Zhou Qir. "Is this for me?" Zhou Qir asked happily. "Help me unpick the threads so I can use it," Zhang Yi said. Zhou Qir pouted in disappointment, but obediently took the bulletproof vest and used scissors to cut the threads on the sides. The bulletproof vest was also made of very tough thread. After all, it was made of special material designed to withstand heavy impact. Zhou Qir had to make a lot of effort to tear the vest apart. The vest was now split into 2 pieces of fabric. Zhang Yi took it and held it up to his leg, nodding with satisfaction. "If you wrap it around your leg and put a cold weather suit over it, wouldn't that make it bulletproof pants? There are also major arteries in the legs, so you can't be careless." After getting his equipment ready, Zhang Yi thought for a while and felt that he couldn't let the neighbors in his building get too comfortable. He had to give them a sense of crisis and then trick them into going out and looking for someone to fight. After all, Zhang Yi had organized them as cannon fodder in the first place, not to keep them as pets. The other buildings had sent him a signal, and he had to do something in response. So Zhang Yi posted a message in the owners group, telling everyone about the situation they were facing. He wrote to everyone, "Dear brothers and sisters, dear family members, everyone here in Building 25. We are now facing a major crisis. There are people out there who want to take our food. Some of the nearby apartment buildings are jealous of the fact that I can go out and help everyone find food, so they have threatened me. They claim that if I don't share the food with them, they will attack our building." Once this news spread, the owners group exploded. The neighbors had just seen hope for survival, and now they were relying on Zhang Yi to go out every day and bring back food to keep them alive. Now that other buildings were jealous and wanted to come and rob them, of course they wouldn't allow it. Fuck, what are these bastards thinking? If they're so capable, they should go out and find food themselves. Let's fight them. We'll defend our food to the death, not a single grain will be given to them. Yes, we have Zhang Yi with us. We're not afraid of them if we really have to fight. But some people did raise concerns. But there are only 30 to 40 of us in our building. If the other buildings attack us, can we really defend ourselves? This is indeed a bit difficult. Can we negotiate with them and ask them not to mess with us? Do you think that's possible? Everyone is fighting for food these days. Who would reason with you? What? What should we do then? Just do it. We'll die without food anyway. The neighbors were arguing very loudly. They were full of righteous anger, but most of them were also afraid in their hearts. If we really go against the rest of the buildings in the community, won't we have to fight more than 1,000 people? That's no different than looking for death. Zhang Yi promptly sent a message. Everyone knows the current situation outside. the heavy snow has flooded all the low-rise buildings, including most of the supermarkets. Therefore, finding supplies is also a very difficult thing, and it depends on luck. There are thousands of people outside, and if you really have to feed them, then there won't be any food left for everyone else. I, Johnny, don't want to offend them either, but I have enough supplies to last for a few days. So I'll leave the decision up to you. Do you want to save the food for yourselves, or give it to them in exchange for peace? The choice is yours. The multiple-choice question Johnny gave them was like holding a gun to someone's head and asking them if they want to live or die. In fact, there was no real choice to make. The neighbors heard Johnny's words and knew that they had no way out. Without food, they would surely still die. Fighting for their lives might give them a chance to survive. I understand, so let's fight them. This food belongs to us, why should we give it to them? They can go to hell. Exactly, if they can't get food themselves, why would they think of robbing other people? Is that not evil? Is that not immoral? This is the most disgusting kind of person I have ever met in my life, yuck. Johnny saw that the emotions were running high, so he said, okay, we can't let them look down on us. We have to show them how awesome we are. Tonight, Li Qingbin and Jiang Lei, you lead a group of people to break into Building 26. There aren't many of those old Tianhe gang members left, so get rid of them. First, we'll avenge the deaths of our family members, and second, we'll send a warning to the other apartment buildings. Li Qingbin, okay, Brother Zhang. Jiang Lei, yes, Brother Zhang. Zhang Yi, as for me, I've been busy outside all day and I'm a bit tired. I won't be able to go with you. Next time for sure. Li Qingbin, Brother Zhang, I understand. You've worked hard today. Jiang Lei, Brother Zhang deserves the most credit. We can't let Brother Zhang do everything, right everyone? The neighbors agreed in unison, yes, yes, yes. Zhang Yi, good brothers, go ahead. After the neighbors had finished, Zhang Yi threw his phone away and picked up Zhou Qir in his arms. Ah! Zhou Qir let out a scream with a smile. An hour later, Zhang Yi was lying on the sofa, smoking a cigarette, while Zhou Qir was lying exhausted on his chest, with a satisfied smile on her face. Ding dong! The WeChat message alert went off. Zhang Yi picked up his phone and found that it was from Jiang Lei. Brother Zhang, those old Tianhe gangsters are a bit hard to deal with. Zhang Yi's mouth curled up. Nonsense, of course it's hard. If it was easy, I would have stormed in with a gun and shot them all. The people in the Tianhe gang were all construction workers, with a lot of tools, strength, and stamina. And they had been working in construction for a long time and knew how to use the terrain. Jiang Lei and the others stormed in, and they would definitely suffer heavy casualties if the Tianhe gang was prepared. But they were all cannon fodder anyway, and Zhang Yi didn't feel bad if they died. He even felt like laughing a little. After all, most of these bastard neighbors have already shared a cup of meat soup with body they had mutilated in the past. Zhang Yi pretended to be worried and asked, how are our casualties? Jiang Lei said, we lost 8 people, but only managed to kill 3 of them. Zhang Yi was very satisfied with the result. There were not many people left in the Tianhe gang, and they were all tough characters who could fight. With 3 killed, Huang Tianfang would soon have no one left. Chapter 99, Ambush. Zhang Yi asked with concern, are you okay? Jiang Lei didn't expect Zhang Yi to ask about his condition in particular, and hastily said, I just got a little scratch, I'm fine. Zhang Yi immediately said in a tone of grief and indignation, these dogs from the Tianhe gang nearly injured one of my generals. Jiang Lei, you don't need to be on duty tomorrow, take some time off first. Then he said to the group, everyone did a great job tonight. We'll reward you tomorrow. Everyone who took part in the attack on the Tianhe gang will get at least 2 portions of food. Jiang Lei was injured heroically and is a role model for us all, so he'll get the day off tomorrow. And an extra large portion of braised pork rice. Hearing Zhang Yi's words of encouragement, the neighbors were thrilled. Although 8 of their neighbors had died, they were no longer shocked by death. They had long since become numb. The most important thing was that they would have double the food tomorrow. The one they envied most was Jiang Lei, who was able to eat braised pork rice at a time like this. Even if they had the ingredients, they simply didn't have enough seasonings to cook with, and they were reluctant to light a fire. They had been eating whatever was available every day, and had almost forgotten what braised pork rice tasted like. Zhang Yi is awesome. Hooray! It's true that we should follow Zhang Yi, there's meat to eat. Damn, I didn't get the head this time, the next time it'll be my turn for the braised pork rice. Many people secretly made up their minds to fight even harder. The next morning, Zhang Yi put on his full body covering equipment before leaving the doors with peace of mind. He planned to go to some of the nearby famous large shopping malls and hotels to see if there was anything he could use. Climbing out of the fourth-floor window, Zhang Yi saw that the snow in front of him had sunken in a large area and was stained with blood. Zhang Yi then realized that there had been a lot of fighting on their side of the city recently. Zhang Yi felt a little sad, but then he pulled himself together and stealthily took out his snowmobile and drove it outside the community. After the sound of the snowmobile started, that familiar feeling came back. The feeling of being watched. Although Zhang Yi couldn't see clearly the people behind the windows, he just knew that many people were looking at him. Zhang Yi looked up, his eyes coldly sweeping past building after building. These people might become his enemies in the near future, and then die at his hands. Zhang Yi's gaze moved from far to near, slowly drawing back. But as he passed by a building, he suddenly sensed that something was not right. Building 21. The red 21 on the top of the wall was very eye-catching, and it was under its reminder that Zhang Yi felt that strong sense of violation in his heart. Building 21, Wild Wolf Gang. Zhang Yi frowned slightly, and after a little thought, his gaze immediately became fierce. I told you there was something wrong. The Wild Wolf Gang was located in Building 21, not far from theirs. But until now, even though they knew that Zhang Yi had a lot of supplies and a snowmobile, they still hadn't made a move against him. In the past, Zhang Yi had thought that they were being cautious and afraid of him. But now, he thought about it, it was still too strange. No matter how cautious they were still a group of passionate young people in their 20s. Faced with something as attractive as a snowmobile, they couldn't possibly remain calm. The strangest thing was that the owners of the other buildings in the neighborhood had all approached Zhang Yi to discuss cooperation. But the members of the Wild Wolf Gang had never contacted Zhang Yi at all. This was very unusual, extremely unusual. Zhang Yi understood that there was only one explanation for this behavior, and that was that the dogs that don't bark are the fiercest. They planned to attack quietly. Zhang Yi felt for the pistol in his pocket, and then remembered the big guns in dimensional space, loaded with bullets and cocked, and felt much more at ease. He took out his mobile phone from his breast pocket and hurriedly sent messages to Uncle Yu and Zhou Keir, asking them to lock their doors at home and be careful of sneak attacks from the residents of other apartment buildings. Then he stuffed the phone into his breast pocket to keep it from getting cold. Zhang Yi started the snowmobile and drove off in the direction of the front. When the vehicle reached the edge of the residential area, something suddenly happened. Snowflakes suddenly burst open on the ground in front of him. Then a piece of the door frame stood upright, blocking the front of Zhang Yi's vehicle. Zhang Yi's vehicle was unable to stop in time and he quickly reversed. Bang! The snowmobile hit the door frame sideways, and in the snow, 2 people were thrown up with it. It turned out that 2 people were hiding in the snow, using a rope to tie the doors together as a trap to block the horses. Unfortunately, the doors were really thin and light, and instead of tripping Zhang Yi, they sent him flying. As it turned out, you shouldn't just copy things you see on TV. Zhang Yi immediately realized that he had been ambushed. Before he could think, 7 or 8 people had already climbed out of the snow, pulled out their weapons without saying a word, and charged at Zhang Yi, yelling. Zhang Yi took a deep breath, the cold air calming him down. He then quickly took out his gun from his pocket and, as he turned on the safety, the 8 people had already rushed up to him. Zhang Yi raised his gun and fired. Bang! 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 If an ordinary person were attacked at such close range, even if they had a gun in their hands, they would probably be in trouble. But Zhang Yi had the ability to make precision shots, and he had a strong sense of control over space. He never missed with his bullets. 3 bullets, and the 3 people in front of him were dead, all of them shot in the head. Before he could catch his breath, several people on the other side also arrived, holding machetes, only 1 meter away from him. The machetes were raised high and swung down at Zhang Yi. At the last minute, Zhang Yi turned the muzzle of his gun. Before his blade could fall, Zhang Yi's gun was aimed at his head, almost shoved into his mouth. The man's body instantly stiffened, and he was about to say something. With a single shot, bang, there was an extra hole in his head. This scene scared the other people charging nearby into immobility. They had never seen anyone use a gun so ruthlessly, shooting 1 person at a time and instantly eliminating 4 of them. Could it be that he was Yan Shuangying, half human, half ghost, and the #1 sharpshooter? Zhang Yi didn't give them a chance to catch their breath, raising his gun and shooting, eliminating 2 more people with 2 more shots. It wasn't until this point that the remaining 4 people were so scared that they panicked and turned their heads to run back. Zhang Yi aimed his gun at their backs and, watching them desperately running forward in the snow, suddenly changed his mind. He bit his gun in his mouth and then started his snowmobile to follow them. The few people could not run fast at all in the snow. It was more like crawling than running. At this time, the sound of the vehicle rang in their ears. The few people were scared out of their wits and urinated in their pants. Zhang Yi caught up with the last person, and ran over him with the vehicle. Half of his body was above the snow, and Zhang Yi's snowmobile knocked his upper body onto the ground, then mercilessly began to run over it. What was it like to be run over by a person in a snowmobile weighing more than 400 kilograms? The man let out a scream like a pig being slaughtered. His spine was directly broken by the impact, and the snowmobile ran over his back and then his head. Hearing this scream, the people in front of him turned even paler, and they gritted their teeth and ran as hard as they could, as if there was a demon chasing them. Chapter 100, Kill with All Your Might. After Zhang Yi's snowmobile had run over the man, he glanced back. Although there was a snow mattress under his body, the weight of more than 400 kilograms pressing down on him made him spit blood. Zhang Yi gave him a shot in the back to end his suffering. Then he continued to slowly chase after them. He wanted to know where these people had come from. If they want to harm him, they must pay the price. The direction in which the few people fled looked very similar to Building 21, the territory of the Wild Wolf Gang. At this time, on the 7th floor of Building 21, the leader of the Wild Wolf Gang, Wang Chang, and the deputy leader, Xiao Lu, watched the scene in front of them and their hearts were bleeding. They had prepared for this robbery for many days, finding out Zhang Yi's travel route and schedule, and then sending 10 of their men to ambush him. They had thought that this was a foolproof plan, but no matter how much they had planned, they had not counted on Zhang Yi's marksmanship being so good. What is more, they had not expected that Zhang Yi would have so many bullets. Not only had they failed to successfully kill Zhang Yi and take his snowmobile, instead, they lost many soldiers and were even more vulnerable to Zhang Yi's attack. Now, they were in big trouble. Wang Chang said, "Hurry and get everyone to gather at the doors. Set up the traps and be careful of the gun in his hands." Xiao Lu nodded, "Don't worry, our hallway is fully equipped. If he dares to come in, it doesn't matter if we kill him here, the result will be the same anyway." The 2 men sounded very tough, but they were retreating in unison, afraid to appear in front of the window. They knew that Zhang Yi had a gun in his hand, and a sniper rifle, which was a lethal weapon. To stick your head out would be equivalent to looking for death. Building 21, the members of the Wild Wolf Gang were facing a major enemy, and they all hid in the hallway, praying in their hearts that Zhang Yi would not kill his way in. Outside, Zhang Yi was still leisurely hunting down the remaining members of the Wild Wolf Gang. Along the way, he casually shot and killed one person after another. The last person ran to the front of Building 21. But before he reached the entrance, the roar of Zhang Yi's snowmobile sounded in their ears. Zhang Yi glanced at the dark room in front of him. He knew that the members of the Wild Wolf Gang were definitely waiting in ambush. Instead of using his gun, Zhang Yi took out the Damascus steel machete he had bought earlier. This thing was used to cut wild beasts, and it was incredibly sharp. However, Zhang Yi had never used it to cut anyone before. Pfft! The machete sliced across the man's neck, and it felt surprisingly smooth. The sound of blood splattering was like the sound of the wind, and a head flew high in the air before falling to the ground. The members of the Wild Wolf gang, who were hiding in the shadows, all felt a chill down their backs when they saw this. They had sent 10 brothers out, and all of them had been killed by Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi stopped the snowmobile, got out, picked up the head on the ground, and threw it into the room on the 4th floor. The head rolled a few times before coming to a stop, its eyes staring vacantly at the people inside. There was complete silence inside, and the members of the Wild Wolf gang were so nervous that their limbs felt cold. They knew that once Zhang Yi entered with his gun, it would definitely be a fierce battle. Many of them would die. However, Zhang Yi stood just outside Building 21 and did not go in. He did not know what was actually inside, but there were definitely traps and ambushes. A gentleman does not stand under a dangerous roof. He would not put himself in danger. But letting the members of the Wild Wolf gang go would be too easy on them. At that moment, the gunshots woke up everyone in the community, including the people in Building 25. Uncle Yu and Li Bin were on duty at the time and came over with their weapons to support Zhang Yi. "Zhang Yi, what's going on? Where did they ambush you?" Uncle Yu asked angrily. Zhang Yi glanced at them and said indifferently, "They ambushed me outside and I killed them all." There were 10 bodies lying along the way from the outside of the residential area to Building 21, drenched in blood, which was very eye-catching. Uncle Yu angrily shouted, "These damned people are so treacherous." He said to the people behind him, "If anything happens to Zhang Yi, we will run out of food and no one will survive." Hearing this, the group of people were also taken aback and realized the seriousness of the matter. Zhang Yi waved at them, "Go back first and call everyone. Get everyone over here." The group of people immediately returned to Building 25 and called over all the owners. Zhang Yi's expression was very cold. His mood was very sour at the moment, really bad. He was not afraid of being ambushed, because in the end times, this kind of thing was unavoidable. Moreover, he was fully prepared, with equipment all over his body and an assault rifle in his space. A dozen people wouldn't be able to do anything to him. But he was angry because he knew that someone in Building 25 must have tipped off the Wild Wolf gang. The logic was quite simple. Zhang Yi didn't go out at the same time every day for safety reasons, so that no one could use this against him. So ambushing him in advance was out of the question. At this temperature, even if you bury yourself in the snow, you won't be able to do it for more than half an hour, no matter how thick the clothes you're wearing are. But today, those people happened to ambush him in the snow. There's no such thing as coincidence in this world, which means it must have been someone on the inside who knew he was going out and told the Wild Wolf gang. Zhang Yi wasn't angry about being betrayed, because he knew these neighbors weren't any better. As long as the benefits were enough, they wouldn't even consider turning against him. He simply wanted to kill the person who leaked the information. However, almost everyone in the building was capable of doing such a thing, and he had no idea who did it. In that case, treat everyone the same. The Wild Wolf gang in Building 21 was on high alert, and a forced attack would surely result in countless casualties. Zhang Yi simply let them fight it out, because he didn't care who died. Zhang Yi's cold gaze swept over everyone. Everyone was filled with fear when they saw Zhang Yi like this. But they also knew that this feeling of being ambushed would be unpleasant. After a while, Zhang Yi said faintly, "The people from Building 21 have made a move against me. If I die, you won't survive either. Therefore, they want to kill me, which means they want to kill you. We must eliminate all of these people. Uncle Yu, you go with me this time. The rest of you, under the leadership of Li Chengbin, will officially launch an attack on Building 21. For every person killed, I will reward 10 portions of food." Hearing Zhang Yi's reward, the crowd couldn't help but feel excited. Many of them were still annoyed that they didn't get the chance to earn any rewards last night. However, some people raised their objections. Isn't it a bad idea to go over there now? they will definitely be on guard against our revenge. Even if we go over there, it's better to wait until nightfall. Zhang Yi glanced over and saw an older man with a Mediterranean appearance named Guadahai. He then pointed at Uncle Yu and said, "Besides, Uncle Yu is our main force. If we attack, it's best if he leads the attack." When everyone heard what Guadahai said, they felt that it made a lot of sense and couldn't help but murmur among themselves. Yeah, even if it's for revenge, it's better to sneak in at night. Is Zhang Yi's anger getting the better of him? He needs to calm down. Uncle Yu is highly combat effective and should be the main force.